In the quiet twilight of our years, as the calendar pages turn with an ever-increasing velocity, a profound question often whispers in the silence. Is it possible to not just add years to life, but vibrant, energetic life to our years? For seniors navigating the terrain pajak their 80s and beyond, this question takes on an urgent, deeply personal resonance. The specter of frailty, of fading memories, of a life force dimming like a candle in the wind can cast a long shadow. But what if that shadow could be pushed back, not by some mythical elixir, but by a discovery rooted in rigorous science, a revelation so potent it could be distilled into the very food we eat, perhaps even into a single, transformative meal? This isn't a flight of fancy. It's the extraordinary promise hinted at by the pioneering work of Dr. Cynthia Kenyon, a scientist whose relentless curiosity unveiled a fundamental secret to how and why we age. Imagine a world where your 80s feel like your 60s, where your mind remains as sharp as a tack, and your body carries you with a resilience you thought was lost to the annals of youth. This isn't merely about extending a frail existence. It's about compressing morbidity, expanding health span, and living with a zest that defies an chronological number. Dr. Kenyon, a molecular biologist with an unyielding gaze fixed on the enigma of aging, embarked on a journey that would lead her to challenge the very dogma of senescence as an immutable, relentless decline. She dared to ask, what if aging isn't a rigid program, but a flexible, adaptable process, one that we can influence, perhaps even dramatically dial back, through understanding its deepest biological levers? Her quest would take her to an unlikely hero, a tiny, transparent roundworm, and to a discovery that sent ripples of excitement and hope through the scientific community and beyond. The story begins not in a grand auditorium unveiling a silver bullet, but in the meticulous, often tedious environment of a research laboratory. It's a narrative of patience, of countless experiments, and of one scientist's intuition that there was more to the aging process than met the eye. Dr. Kenyon and her team at the University of California, San Francisco, weren't looking for a superficial fix. They were hunting for the master switches, the genetic controls that dictate the pace of aging. And find them they did. This journey into the microscopic world of a humble nematode would eventually illuminate a path toward a longer, healthier life for us all, a path that astonishingly could be navigated with a fork and a knife, guided by the wisdom gleaned from these simple yet profound organisms. Prepare to embark on a voyage of discovery, to understand how the fate of a worm could redefine human potential, and how the concept of a life-saving meal isn't about a singular magical recipe, but about embracing a profound understanding of our own biology. We're about to explore the science that could empower you, your loved ones, anyone over 80, to reclaim vitality and potentially add not just years, but a thriving, energetic epoch to their lives. This is more than just information. It's an invitation to a paradigm shift, a new way of seeing the aging process not as an enemy to be feared, but as a biological process we can finally and intelligently engage with, all thanks to the insights of visionaries like Dr. Cynthia Kenyon. The stage for Dr. Kenyon's groundbreaking discovery was set with a creature almost too small to see with the naked eye, a nematode worm called Caenorhabditis elegans, or C. Elegans for short. Why this tiny, unassuming worm? Because despite its simplicity, C. elegans shares a surprising amount of its genetic makeup with humans, including many of the key genes involved in the aging process. These worms have a naturally short lifespan, typically only a few weeks, making them ideal subjects for studying aging. Scientists can observe multiple generations and the effects of genetic alterations in a relatively brief period. Dr. Kenyon possessed the insight to see these minuscule beings not as lowly invertebrates, but as living laboratories, biological Rosetta Stones that could help decipher the complex language of longevity. In the early 1990s, Dr. Kenyon and her team made a startling observation, one that would forever alter the landscape of aging research. They discovered that by making a subtle tweak to a single gene in C. elegans, a gene known as DF2, they could dramatically extend the worm's lifespan. These weren't just marginal gains. The genetically altered worms lived, on average, twice as long as their normal counterparts. Imagine that for a moment, a doubling of lifespan from a single genetic modification. But even more astonishingly, these long-lived worms weren't frail or decrepit. They were robust, active, and youthful for much longer. They maintained their vigor, their health span extended handsome alongside their lifespan. It was as if they had sipped from a veritable fountain of youth, their biological clocks slowed to a gentle, leisurely tick. The DAF2 gene, as Dr. Kenyon's research revealed, plays a crucial role in a biological signaling pathway known as the insulin-IGF-1 pathway. This pathway is ancient, evolutionarily conserved across many species, from yeast and worms to flies, mice, and crucially, humans. Its primary role is to regulate growth, metabolism, and stress resistance in response to nutrient availability. When nutrients are abundant, this pathway is active, signaling cells to grow and store energy. However, Dr. Kenyon's work demonstrated that partially dialing down the activity of this DAF2 gene, and thus an insulin-IGF-1 pathway, essentially tricks the organism into a state (MACE) of mild perceived scarcity, even if nutrients are available. This, in turn, activates a cascade of downstream longevity genes, including powerful antioxidant defenses and cellular repair mechanisms. The body, in essence, shifts from a live fast, die young mode to a conserve and protect strategy. It begins to invest its resources in maintenance and repair rather than rapid growth and reproduction, leading to enhanced resilience against various forms of stress and ultimately a longer, healthier life. The implications were staggering. If a single gene in a simple worm could exert such profound control over aging, and if this pathway was indeed conserved in humans, then perhaps we weren't entirely at the mercy of an unyielding aging program. Perhaps by understanding and learning to modulate this pathway, humans too could unlock a hidden potential for extended vitality. Dr. Kenyon's worms weren't just wiggling under a microscope. They were rewriting the rules of life and offering humanity a beacon of hope. The question that naturally followed this monumental discovery was, how can we, as humans, influence this critical insulin-IGF-1 pathway without resorting to genetic engineering? The answer, as further research by Dr. Kenyon and others began to suggest, lies significantly in our diet. The insulin-IGF-1 pathway is exquisitely sensitive to what we eat, particularly to our intake of carbohydrates and sugars. Consuming a diet high in refined carbohydrates and sugars causes a rapid spike in blood glucose, which in turn triggers a surge in insulin and IGF-1. Over time, a chronically high intake of such foods keeps this pathway in a state of high alert, constantly signaling for growth and storage, and potentially accelerating the aging process, much like having the DAF2 gene fully active in those worms. This is where the concept of Dr. Cynthia Kenyon's one meal that could save your life moves from a tantalizing headline into the realm of practical, science-backed dietary strategy. While Dr. Kenyon herself hasn't prescribed a single, specific meal in a universal, one-size-fits-all sense, her research and her own subsequent adoption of a low-carbohydrate lifestyle strongly point to the principles that would define such a life-enhancing, longevity-promoting way of eating. It's not about a magic pill or a bizarre concoction, but about a conscious, informed approach to fueling our bodies in a way that naturally dials down the pro-aging signals and activates our innate longevity mechanisms. This Phoenix meal, if we were to give it a name, would be built upon a foundation of foods that minimally provoke that insulin IGF-1 response. The cornerstone of such a meal, and indeed a longevity-focused diet, would be a significant reduction in refined carbohydrates and sugars. This means drastically limiting or eliminating items like white bread, pasta, sugary cereals, pastries, sodas, and processed snacks that flood the bloodstream with glucose. Instead, the emphasis shifts to whole, unprocessed foods. Think of a plate designed to be nutrient-dense and metabolically kind. The carbohydrate content would come primarily from non-starchy vegetables, leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower, peppers, asparagus, which are packed with fiber, vitamins, and phytonutrients and have a very low impact on blood sugar levels. Small amounts of low glycemic fruits, like berries, might also be included for their antioxidant power. Protein would be a crucial component, but in moderation. Adequate protein is essential for maintaining muscle mass, immune function, and overall bodily repair, especially for seniors. Good sources would include high-quality animal proteins like fish, especially fatty fish rich in omega-3s like salmon and mackerel, poultry, and eggs, or plant-based options like tofu, tempeh, and legumes, though the latter would need to be considered within the overall carbohydrate context. The key is not excessive protein, which can also stimulate the IGF-1 pathway to some extent, but sufficient high-quality protein to meet the body's needs for maintenance and repair, a delicate balance that supports vitality without overactivating growth signals. Perhaps the most misunderstood and often unfairly maligned macronutrient, healthy fats, would play a starring role in this life-saving meal. For decades, fat was demonized, but science now reveals that healthy fats are essential for cellular health, hormone production, brain function, and providing sustained energy, especially when carbohydrate intake is reduced. We're talking about monounsaturated fats from avocados, olive oil, and nuts like almonds and macadamias, and polyunsaturated fats, including those vital omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish, flax seeds, and walnuts. These fats provide satiety, help stabilize blood sugar, and offer a clean burning fuel source that doesn't send insulin levels skyrocketing, thus keeping the insulin-IGF-1 pathway in a more favorable pro-longevity state. So, to visualize this Phoenix meal, picture a generous serving of grilled salmon, rich in omega-3s and protein. Accompanying it would be a large, colorful salad PDPN with a variety of leafy greens, bell peppers, cucumbers, and tomatoes, drizzled generously with extra virgin olive oil. Perhaps a side of steamed asparagus or broccoli, also dressed with a healthy fat like melted butter or a sprinkle of toasted almonds. This meal is low in net carbohydrates, moderate in protein, and rich in healthy fats and micronutrients. It's designed to nourish, to satisfy, and most importantly, to send the right signals to your genes. Signals that whisper of longevity, repair, and resilience, echoing the very blueprint Dr. Kenyon uncovered in her remarkable Worms. It's a meal that embraces food as powerful biological information, not just empty calories. Reclaiming your 90s or even your 80s with vigor and clarity is a prospect that Dr. Kenyon's work brings tantalizingly within reach. The principles derived from her research, embodied in the concept of that life-saving meal, offer more than just a dietary plan. They provide a blueprint for activating your body's innate capacity for extended health span. It's about understanding that the food choices we make, especially as we advance in age, are not merely incidental, but are profound biological conversations with our genes. This isn't about a fad diet. It's about aligning our nutritional intake with the ancient wisdom encoded in our cells, a wisdom that prioritizes repair and resilience when given the right cues. Integrating these principles into daily life for seniors over 80 might seem daunting at first, especially if lifelong eating habits have been different. However, the transition can be gradual and empowering. It starts with awareness, with understanding the why behind reducing sugars and refined starches and embracing healthy fats and quality proteins. It could begin by transforming one meal a day, perhaps dinner, to align with these longevity principles. Swapping a starchy side like mashed potatoes for a double portion of non-starchy vegetables. Choosing grilled fish over breaded and fried options, or using olive oil and avocado as primary sources of fat instead of processed vegetable oils, are all practical first steps that can make a significant difference over time. The beauty of this approach is that it's not about deprivation, but about nutrient density and metabolic health. The focus is on whole, unprocessed foods that provide a wealth of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and essential fatty acids, all while keeping the insulin IGF-1 pathway in a state that favors cellular maintenance rather than unchecked growth signals, which can contribute to age-related diseases. Many who adopt this way of eating report not only weight management, but also increased energy levels, improved mental clarity, better blood sugar control, and reduced inflammation. All factors that contribute significantly to a higher quality of life, irrespective of age. It's about shifting the body from a sugar-burning mode, which can be volatile, to a fat-burning mode, which tends to provide more sustained and stable energy. Beyond the specific components of any single meal, the broader implications of Dr. Kenyon's research encourage a holistic view of ageless living. While diet is a powerful lever, other lifestyle factors also play a role in influencing these longevity pathways. Regular physical activity, appropriate for one's age and ability, helps improve insulin sensitivity and maintain muscle mass. Adequate sleep is crucial for cellular repair and hormonal balance. Stress management techniques, whether it's mindfulness, meditation, or spending time in nature, can also positively impact the hormonal milieu that governs aging. This life-saving meal concept, therefore, is best viewed as the nutritional cornerstone of a more comprehensive strategy for vibrant longevity. It's natural to approach such information with a degree of skepticism, especially when so many health claims bombard us daily. However, Dr. Kenyon's work isn't based on anecdote or wishful thinking. It's rooted in decades of rigorous, peer-reviewed scientific research that has been replicated and expanded upon by laboratories around the world. The insulin IGF-1 pathway is now widely recognized as a central regulator of aging across species. The power to influence this pathway through diet is a testament to the profound interconnectedness of our choices and our biology. For seniors over 80, this knowledge is particularly empowering, as it refutes the outdated notion that advanced age inevitably means a steep and rapid decline. The invitation here is to see your 80s, 90s, and beyond, not as a waiting room, but as a new chapter, brimming with potential for continued growth, engagement, and joy. Dr. Cynthia Kenyon's discoveries, distilled into practical dietary wisdom, offer a key to unlocking that potential. It's a call to embrace your agency, to become an active participant in your health journey, and to nourish your body with the kinds of foods that speak the language of longevity to your very genes. The one meal that could save your life is more than a catchy phrase. It's a symbol of a paradigm shift, a testament to the power of science to illuminate the path to a longer, healthier, and more vibrant existence, no matter what your chronological age may be.